Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue podcast. I'm your host, Ian Croll, and today is Derby Day. Sorry, I've just had audio coming through my ears and I didn't realise what was going on. Anyway, let's start again. It is the Royal Blue podcast. It is Derby Day. I'm Ian Croll, your host, and today I'm joined by Connor O'Neill. Connor, you are at home, day off. I'm in the studio. It is a big, massive day. How are the nerves?
Yeah, they're actually okay. I think after, Evertonians by now should know not to get too confident on Derby Day. I think we've seen probably better Everton teams be swept aside by Liverpool than what we've got at the minute. So, yeah, the nerves are okay. Obviously, I think I was more nervous on Sunday, to be honest. But yeah, I think the Forest game was obviously of huge importance, wasn't it, against the relegation rival, especially after Luton Town's hammering on Saturday against Brentford. So, yeah, the nerves are okay. It's obviously, I hate this saying, but it probably is a bit of a free hit, isn't it, tonight for the Blues, because no one expects them to win. No one, really expects them to get anything from the game. And if we're being, brutally honest, the game before and the game after the Derby were always the biggest on Everton's agenda in this month.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've already just answered one of my questions. Is this a free hit? So, yeah, I mean, you've kind of touched on it there, but is it a free hit? Anything I'd probably say other than a defeat is a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the way they're saying free hit, because you should always kind of want to win any football match you're involved in. You shouldn't settle for anything less than 3 points. But when you look at the context of this, obviously, they're a team. I've had a bit of an indifferent few weeks, but on the whole, have been really impressive this season. Obviously, Klopp's record at Anfield is incredibly good. Everton haven't had too much success over Liverpool in recent years, so you look at all them factors, you'll probably argue and say, this is a free hit, isn't it? If they do pick anything up, then it's a bonus. But I still think there's a large element of pride. Obviously, I spoke about pride after the shaft of the Chelsea defeat. There'll be no better way, I think, for Everton to go into these final weeks of the season by picking up an unexpected win tonight and giving the fans something really to cheer about. And Evertonians haven't had much to cheer about when it comes to getting one over on their local rivals, have they? So, in that sense, this is a good opportunity for the Blues tonight to give the fans something to shout about and that extra spring in the step tomorrow. But I think in the context of it, if Everton do get anything tonight, then it's a bonus. And I think we would all agree that, the game that they really needed to win before this was Sunday, which they have done. Obviously, they've got another big game on Saturday against Brentford.
Yeah, and just for our the audience watching here, this is a Merseyside Derby preview show, but I do want to just touch on Forest a little bit, because I haven't been on a pod since then. I don't know if you have, Connor, but it was just massive, that, wasn't it? Because let's face it, coming off the back of the Chelsea defeat, although we'd beaten beaten Burnley, form was just still shocking. So we were kind of still really going into the unknown against Forest, because we were and have been still that bad. So even a draw would have been a really poor result there, because it would have just kept us in the mire. But now that you look at that table following the 2-0 win, it just makes an absolute world of difference. 5 points clear of Luton, who occupied the last relegation space. Effectively, we're ahead by 6 points, because obviously the goal difference. So Luton effectively need us to lose all of our games for the rest of the season, and for them to pick up a minimum of 6, if my maths stands me right. So we've all been a bit critical, probably some more than others, of Sean Dyche and the players of the over the past couple of weeks. But let's face it, you've got to give credit where credit's due. The players, first of all, let's give credit to the fans. The fans, once again have dragged the team over the line, or seemingly dragging the team over the line. But the players really showed up on Sunday, and credit to Sean Dyche and the players for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few elements there. I think, firstly, it's only right that you touch on the fans. Obviously, campaign of the 1878, you know, the flags and, you know, people wearing blue and stuff like that was absolutely superb. And, you know, Goodison was well and truly rocking before the two teams come out. And, you know, you look at you look around the ground, and it was, you know, it was fantastic to see the flags and the banners and stuff like that. And, you know, again, you know, you just love that to be in a position. You'd love that to be getting done where Everton have actually got something to, you know, play for or challenge them for, or, you know, a game that doesn't mean not being dragged into the relegation dogfight even more. And, you know, when you look at the game on the whole, you know, Sean Dyche made some pretty bold, I think, and brave decisions. You know, with his selection, obviously, James Garner dropped out, Amadou Onana dropped out, obviously Ashley Young went to right back. There was a few bold, brave decisions in there, which I think a lot of people were perhaps surprised at, maybe weren't expecting, but they certainly paid dividends. And I think ultimately as well, you know, the players showed up, didn't they? They showed a little bit of fight, they showed a little bit of aggression. Yeah, it wasn't exactly a classic, and probably not a game of football that'll go down in the history books as one for the purists. But, you know, when you're at the point where Everton are and Forest are, you know, in this time of the season, it's about getting 3 points, and, you know, Everton got that on Sunday. So there was a lot of questions I thought were answered on Sunday. I think certainly in terms of, obviously, you know, after the Chelsea defeat, there was obviously a lot of questions about whether Sean Dyche had lost the dressing room, you know, whether players were down in tools a little bit. You know, we obviously have our own in-depth discussion on the Rugby podcast after that, and, you know, where kind of things were heading. But, you know, you look at, you know, Sunday afternoon, there was no evidence that the players are down tools, and they weren't, you know, playing for the manager, playing for the shirt, playing for the club. So that was one real positive, because you did fear that, you know, a defeat at the hands of Forest would, then questions are only going to grow. And like I said, I think it was a bit of an afternoon where Sean Dyche was vindicated, because a lot of the big calls he made paid off. And, you know, some might say actually he was a very lucky boy. But, you know, ultimately VAR swings around about. There's been plenty of times, not just this season, but in previous seasons, where Everton have been on the wrong end of some pretty poor VAR decisions. So perhaps things do swing both ways.
What did you make of what is now the embarrassing tweet from Nottingham Forest when you first saw it?
Well, I was still sat in the press box at Goodison, and I saw someone retweeted it on my Twitter timeline, and I actually checked it to see if it was actually the right club account. To be actually thinking, like, you know, is it just kind of someone has made an account that looks like the club account type thing? You know, we've all, I think, felt guilty to stuff like that in the past, haven't we? But it pretty much became pretty clear that it was the official club account. And I just remember I nudged Joe Thomas next to me and showed him, and I showed Dominic King of the Daily Mail sat behind me, and, you know, I was saying to him, "We seen this? You know, like this is it's incredible." It was incredible, wasn't it? It's something that you don't see every week. I don't think it's something that we're going to see every week. I understand why Forest have got a few gripes. I think, you know, certainly there was a few of them decisions at the weekend. You know, there's probably elements to say, well, yes, they are penalties, but they are penalties, and we've probably seen at different points in the season times where they have been penalties, and obviously times where they haven't been penalties. But the whole, you know, reaction and, you know, the way they went about it afterwards, I thought was embarrassing, and it just, you know, put them in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons.
Well, I missed the Forest game, as you know, and I also missed the Burnley game. So I've missed the last two home wins, and you've told me on Bard from Goodison Park tonight. So does that still stand?
Well, like I told you, we can only go on recent history and recent events, and recent history and events say when you don't turn up, Everton generally tend to win. So tonight, we said, well, this being a free hit. So tonight's a good test, isn't it, if you're there. You know, if the Blues don't get a victory, then perhaps on Saturday you need to stand aside.
Well, just for, you know, full disclosure, I have been at Goodison Park this season when Everton have won football matches. So let us know in the comments if you think I should attend tonight's match. I am planning on going. So yeah, I suppose that is a good way to just have a quick word to the people watching now. Let us know what you think about the match today. Let us know your predictions. Send in your questions, your opinion. There's a few coming in already, Connor, just about whether we should risk Dominic Calvert-Lewin tonight because, you know, he's been injured. So we will come on to that. There's plenty to get through. And before we come on to the Merseyside Derby, just give us a like, give us a subscribe, support the channel. Every bit of support that you give us is really appreciated. So yeah, and the more support that you give, the more content that we obviously can put out. So, Connor, I mean, fantastic results. In your mind now, just looking at that table with the games left, taking even Liverpool out of this, do you think Everton are safe?
No, because they're not mathematically safe.
Okay, well, but
and you should never assume that you're safe until you're mathematically safe.
Mathematically safe is not that. But obviously that's factual. But in terms of the games that Luton have got left and the games that we've got left, you would fully expect us to pick up at least 3, even if they come in the form of draws, and you wouldn't expect Luton to pick up. As if they've got 4 games left now, you wouldn't expect them to pick up 12 from their remaining 4. I don't know. I was just very pleased with the result. First of all, the performance was certainly better against Forest, and then just looking at that table, the gap, you can almost breathe a sigh of relief. Obviously, there's plenty of mitigating factors with regards to the derby tonight. We obviously want to win for our sake, but there's other reasons as well. How do you see Liverpool, heading into this? They beat Fulham, but they're not really in the best place, considering they've just, they're out the cup, they're out the Europa League, and effectively, they were probably favourites for the title probably up till about 3 weeks ago, and now the third favourites, you would have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think just going back there in terms like the mathematically, safe from where they see themselves. Obviously, you're not safe until you're mathematically safe, but you can't help but feel that by Saturday evening, Everton have a very good chance of having one foot in next season's Premier League if they were to beat Brentford. Such was the magnitude of the win on Sunday, because obviously I think certainly I fell into this trap. If I thought Luton would have got something against Brentford on Saturday, I thought that was a game that they could easily have got 3 points, if not at least a point. The way they lost, obviously they lost 5-1, but the way they lost, I think was quite alarming, because I think it was a bit of a sign of maybe just the wheels coming off, but that little bit of fighting spirit has perhaps deserted them at the wrong time. So I think for Everton to then back that up the next day and win 2-0, and okay, I say it wasn't a classic, but to grind out 3 points, puts them in a really solid position going into to tonight, and then obviously this weekend's games. And you would like to hope that beat Brentford on Saturday, and then obviously it's Luton away then, isn't it, the following Friday, and then Sheffield United at home. You'd like to hope that by certainly by the time the game against Sheffield United finishes, that the Blues are well mathematically safe and planning to be able to plan for next season, and we're not having to go to Arsenal on the final day, nervously looking over our shoulder, or getting a little bit edgy. But touching on Liverpool tonight, it's been a real strange one, hasn't it? Because I was obviously everyone was impressed with them at the start of the season. They really found form, Christmas, and certainly looked like they were title contenders. Then obviously Klopp drops that bombshell, doesn't he? That he's off in the summer, in January, the exit. And all of a sudden, Liverpool seems to play that little bit more purpose and a bit of extra string in the step. And, it was only a few till I was, tipping them for the quadruple in the office, saying, you wouldn't be surprised if they go all the way here, because, if it won the Carabao Cup, they look, red hot favourites for the title. The FA Cup was in reach. And obviously, you looked at the Europa League, and if I'm being honest, you probably looked at it and thought, well, with the exception of Bayer Leverkusen, there's no one really there who's going to cause Liverpool a major threat in this. And, provided they don't do nothing mad, they've got a very good chance of going to Dublin and winning the competition. And all of a sudden, you look at us and we're heading into the end, we're at the end of April, heading into May. And, they're probably the fair favourites now for the title. They've got to win tonight to stay in the title race after being beaten by Crystal Palace a couple of weeks ago. So they've got to win tonight to stay in the title race. Obviously, they've been dumped out the Europa League. They've been dumped out the FA Cup by Manchester United. So tonight's a massive, massive game for Liverpool, because, I don't think obviously mathematically the title hopes aren't over if they lose tonight, but they would be severely dented, and they would need a massive, massive swing of events when it comes to Man City and Arsenal. And having watched Arsenal last night, comprehensively sweep aside Chelsea, it shows that they're going nowhere, and they look like they're in for the fight to the end of the season. Obviously, City, we've become accustomed to winning football matches this time of the season. They're just a well-oiled machine who, come March, April, just find another gear to everyone else and just go on mad winning runs. So, yeah, I think Liverpool, it's been really interesting, because I think they were a club who essentially in February, everyone was thinking, they could do the unthinkable, get the quadruple. They could do, they could do this, they could do that. Klopp's exit's clearly given that a little bit more purpose, and they want to send them out on the ultimate high. So now all of a sudden, they've had a bit of a fall from grace, and they've got to win tonight to stay in the title race. So I hope the pressure really is on them tonight. I know we said about the free hit, but the pressure really is on Liverpool tonight, and they've got to win, and they to stay in the title race. So I think it's going to be intriguing to see how Jurgen Klopp sets up, because obviously at the weekend of Fulham, he made a number of changes. Obviously, Szoboszlai, Salah, Nunes, McAllister all starts on the bench. So you wonder whether, with them decisions made with tonight in mind, and he's going to go full tilt and go for it. So yeah, I think it's going to be intriguing to see what type of Liverpool turn up, because like I say, the last few weeks they haven't been a Liverpool of what we saw, from the end of January into February.
And the pressure's very much on them, isn't it, Connor? Let's face it. I think if we'd have lost against Forest, the pressure certainly would have been on us because of the position we would have found ourselves in. But you look at the form guides, I suppose, if that's what you want to call it, of Merseyside derbies at Goodison. And although we haven't won a lot, Liverpool haven't won as many as you would actually think themselves. It's predominantly a draw, I think, which we would all probably take right now, because that sees obviously another point to our tally. It sees Liverpool, another dent in their title race. So, is Klopp struggling to manage that pressure at this moment in time? And can we should obviously be able to capitalise on that?
I don't know if it's a case of that he's struggling to manage the pressure, because obviously they've been in this situation before. Obviously they've twice run City close to the title, or they once won the title. So I don't know if it's managed. I don't know whether they just kind of ran out of steam, to be honest. It's been a long old season, hasn't it? You think of at varying points of this season, it feels like a lot of clubs have had dips. You think of Everton, probably had their dip from just after Christmas, didn't they? Where they played them 3 games in 7 days, and it was quite clear that they haven't got a squad capable of playing 3 games in 7 days and meeting the demands. And then they had a bit of a dip in form. Some of the performance, you think of the Crystal Palace away in the FA Cup, the performance wasn't great. They looked a little bit deprived of energy. Wolves away was another one. So you don't know whether maybe they just ran out of steam, and also the effects of Klopp leaving it made it take its toll. Obviously, there's a lot of players at my dressing room now who know that this time next year they'll have a new manager. There's a few of them who are coming towards the end of contracts. Is the new manager going to want to keep them? They're going to be on the same money, etc. So you wonder whether their mitigating factors are now taking the hold, and people are perhaps nervously looking over the shoulder and going, well, actually, I don't really know what's going to happen here. The manager's going, this could happen, that could happen. So I think there's mitigating factors. I don't know if it's a case of like the struggling to cope with the pressure, but I do just think ultimately as well, they're playing against the absolute powerhouse, aren't they? Manchester City, who just generally tend to sweep everything aside, and I think that in itself is a gigantic battle that people underestimating how tough it is to go toe to toe with them when they're just winning every week. So, but tonight, the pressure's on Liverpool tonight. Liverpool have got to win. Make no bones about that, and people will be expecting them to win. So you are right. The pressure is on Liverpool tonight to come out on top.
Well, the pressure's on me as well to make a decision of whether I'm going the game, because a couple of tweets just coming in here. You are definitely barred, and don't you dare go. So it's going to be I'm going to be torn about what to do here, Connor, to be honest. But you probably will see me at Goodison Park.
Maybe because this is trial run. If you go tonight and you don't get the results, maybe on Saturday, just for the club, go to the club and go to the step aside.
Well, we've got limited games at Goodison Park, to be honest, Connor. So I'm trying to make the most of going to every single one that I can go to. But I'm not superstitious like you, so we'll see what happens. I'm fairly confident at least we can get a draw. I don't know about a win, but I'm confident that we can dent Liverpool's title hopes and hopefully get a point to add to our tally. Okay, well, we usually do team news at the end, but we might as well not start off with it. We might as well just go into it now, because there is a lot of decisions for Sean Dyche to make, and we've got quite a few questions now coming in with regards to our thoughts on the team. So I'll just read one out. David Atherton, do you think Dyche risks Dominic Calvert-Lewin tonight, or keeps him back for Brentford at the weekend? He also touches upon, I think this is a tap-in for Dyche. We need to see if Shemetti has anything about him. the Brentford game is more winnable.
I mean, I understand and can see why people want to see Calvert-Lewin rested. Because if you do look at the bigger picture, Saturday's a much bigger game. But I just think there's, with Beto's injury, obviously, Beto unfortunately won't play tonight due to the concussion rules. And rightly so, by the way. There's no way he should be anywhere near a football pitch after what happens on Sunday, even if he is feeling okay. He's come out unscathed. I just think it's probably one of them nights where it's not the night where you will put Schmidt in for your first start in the Premier League start at baptism of fire. I think he will probably start Calvert-Lewin, and probably just be a case of see how it goes. If we get to an hour, maybe take him off and go with Calvert-Lewin again on Saturday. I can understand the clamour for Calvert-Lewin not being risked, but I just don't see that happening tonight. Because I think Everton have got to give Liverpool something to think about. And the only way they do that is if they put Calvert-Lewin up top to cause Van Dijk some problems.
I mean, he was touch and go anyway, though, so it's not certain that he will
That's
start. So
if he's not fit, then obviously he doesn't play, and we don't expect him to play. But I just think if he is fit enough to play, then you've got to play him just to give Liverpool something to think about, because I'm not sure Schmidt at this moment in time is at the point of development where he will cause Liverpool problems.
Yeah, I mean, there's other options as well, isn't there? Probably ones that you wouldn't really consider. I know in a couple of echo pieces following Dyche's press conference that there was talk of Danjuma maybe starting up front. Whether you would. Obviously, this is in line with probably in the frame of thinking that Calvert-Lewin isn't going to start the game, Danjuma. But there was also talk of playing Anana further up the field in a more advanced role. And again, someone mentioned Michael Keane. I don't know how feasible that is.
How was it?
That I mean, I have in the past advocated for Michael Keane to play up front.
You've been one of the biggest campaigners to get up front.
I've eased down on that campaign now, to be honest, since we started scoring 1 or 2 goals. But yeah, I mean, Danjuma, he hasn't featured. He's barely featured at all. Would he be strong enough to?
He's been injured, hasn't he? So it's number one in the sense of obviously he picked up a knock, so it's whether he's fit enough to be a part of it. I think this is the problem now, isn't it? We're at the point where Everton don't have a massive squad, they don't have massive resources, and 1 or 2 injuries, 1 or 2 knocks, you start to feel the effects. Obviously, like I say, I'm fully on board. I think from what's been said, thankfully, Beto was unscathed from the weekend, but it did look horrible, and it wasn't nice to witness live. And the reaction of the Everton players as well was quite alarming, because you did start to feel the worst. But I do agree with the concussion rules around people not playing, even if he is okay and he's being checked and he's being given the okay. You shouldn't be anywhere near playing competitive sport or in around a football pitch just days after something like that's happened. So but that's unfortunate, because you think in an ideal world, you would like to think, Calvert-Lewin starts at the weekend, comes off, Beto will play some. Tonight could have been a hobby on them where you maybe start Beto, bring Calvert-Lewin on, then Saturday start Calvert-Lewin, it could have worked out nicely. Obviously, Sean Dyche hasn't got that luxury. I think it'll be a case of we'll see who's fit and who, is in a position to, essentially, lead the line. And I've got a feeling if he is fit, it'll be Calvert-Lewin. I don't really see how Danjuma plays up top just yet. But you never know. I mean, Sean Dyche last year threw a few curveballs, didn't he? Think when went to Anfield in the derby, he played Ellis Sims up top, which surprised everyone and took everyone by surprise. So you really wouldn't be that surprised if Schmidt does get the nod. But I just think from a personal perspective, if Calvert-Lewin's fit, then we've got to go with Calvert-Lewin just to give Van Dijk and Liverpool something to think about and at least put them under pressure.
Well, it obviously is. He probably wouldn't have that presence, would he? And we probably don't play to Danjuma's strengths as a player who plays up front. And we know that's not really his natural position. He predominantly would come in off the wing. But the other one, if you want to call it a curveball, and it's something I've not really advocated for in the past, but it's something that I thought could work well. It was mentioned that Onana could be pushed forward in more of an advanced role. Now, that's open to interpretation, whether he would be, the main focal point, if that's what you want to call it, or, play behind a striker, whether it was Danjuma. The reason I bring this up as a bit of a point with the team selection is because Onana obviously didn't start against Forest, and it was Guy and Gomez. So, first of all, does he come back in the team for you, Onana, in his natural midfield role, or is he kind of shoehorned into if Calvert-Lewin is unfit, is he kind of shoehorned into more of an advanced role?
The big question on that is if Calvert-Lewin is fit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think tonight that, personally, I think the midfield three will be Guy, Onana, and Decore will play off Calvert-Lewin if he is fit. That's my personal. But obviously, if Calvert-Lewin isn't fit, then possibly Onana might move forward. But I don't see Sean Dyche taking that decision and affording Onana that luxury of perhaps playing a little bit further forward. I think if he does play tonight, he'll be playing alongside it, just to gain him another pitch, just for the legs that will be needed to cope with the energy of Liverpool's midfield three. And I think that's why perhaps we might see a change as well, because I'm not sure. I think Andre Gomez is a very good technical footballer. I'm just not sure he's got the legs to be able to compete with Liverpool's midfield like Onana and just a Guy have. So I wouldn't be surprised if tonight it's Onana, Idrissa Gueye and Decore, just for the energy and the ability to get around the pitch to match Liverpool's midfield three.
Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll finish off with the defensive options, and then we'll verify the team selection. But probably the only one worth talking about defensive-wise, I don't think we've got any injury problems. But would Ashley Young go straight back in the team for you, Connor? I mean, we know he caused uproar over the weekend with some of his challenges and the handball situation. Does he go back in there, or is there a Godfrey goes back in there? I just think he looks very like he can obviously give away a penalty, and we know that's the weak side of the defence at this moment in time.
In the eyes of a lot of people, he should have given away 3 on Saturday, Sunday. So, but no, I mean, this is a real interesting one for tonight for Dyche, because obviously we saw in the Anfield game, didn't we? When you think about tough afternoons, obviously Ashley Young lasted 38 minutes and was sent off because he quite simply couldn't cope with the pace of Luis Diaz. Would history repeat itself tonight? There's probably a good possibility. Obviously, Ashley Young's 38 years of age, so it's no disgrace not being able to keep up with someone who's significantly younger than you. But it's a risk that Sean Dyche takes. But then at the same time, I just don't know whether Sean Dyche has got the full faith in Ben Godfrey to go in at right back and do a job. But if it was me picking tonight's team, I'll put Ben Godfrey in over Ashley Young, just because Ben Godfrey's at least got pace and the athleticism to be able to keep up with Liverpool's forward line, more so than Ashley Young has. But I can see why on both hands the pros and cons, because like I say, Godfrey's also been guilty of giving away goals in recent weeks when he's been given his opportunities. Young obviously has a torrid afternoon up against Diaz and Anfield back in October. So, history could well repeat itself. And obviously, like we say, he didn't exactly cover himself in glory on Saturday, did he, against Nottingham Forest. So it's a real tough decision for Dyche, and one which I think there's probably no right answer, right solution. But what I do think is that ultimately, I think Godfrey just will get at the North just because of his pace and his athleticism. But I mean, it's nice tonight, isn't it? Because where Everton sorely missed Seamus Coleman, because Seamus Coleman was fit and available. You have no doubt that he'd be slotting at right back and be leading the team. So his miss is his absence is sorely missed in these circumstances. But if it was down to me, I'd go Godfrey just for his athleticism and pace.
Can I throw a James Garner at right full back for you? What do you think of that?
Just considering because of James Garner playing right back from last season, because I thought he was superb against Bournemouth on the last day when he played. Obviously played for England under 21s at right back when they won the Euros in the summer.
Yeah, I was going to say he's done it for England.
I was a big advocate of that, but I remember saying that. I think it was a piece of a pod, and a lot of people shot me down and were saying, well, why trying to put one of our best midfielders to right back? But again, I wouldn't be too disheartened if it's James Garner plays right back tonight. I think he's shown like he can comfortably go there and do a good job. I just don't see it. I just don't think Sean Dyche would look to use James Garner at right back. I think it'll be Ben Godfrey or Ashley Young. For me, I think it should be Ben Godfrey. But now I've said this, you know what's going to happen tonight. Garner will be at right back and Smithy will be up front. So now I've said all this, Sean Dyche will completely do a 360 and surprise me and many others, I suspect.
I think I'd take a James Garner at right back over Godfrey, to be honest. I think we know he's done it in the past. He probably doesn't like doing it. It's probably not one of his favoured, positions, and not one of his favourite things to do for the team. But you've just kind of named your midfield there, and James Garner's not in that starting midfield. So I think he would give us a bit more flexibility and movement of that side of the pitch. And I think from an attacking point of view, certainly to give Liverpool something to think about on that side, he's probably got more quality in his delivery of whether it's a long ball or a cross. So I don't think it will be James Garner. I don't think Dyche would look into that option. I think we know what Dyche is like. He likes to stick with what he knows. And if that's the case, I know there's two options here, but he sticks with what he knows because he seems to go back and forth. But it's either going to be Young again or it is going to be Godfrey. I'd be very surprised. Unless he's listening to this podcast, I'd be very surprised if it is James Garner. So, yeah, let's verify it then. You go for your 11 then. Bearing in mind, let's say Calvert-Lewin is fit. We've just gone through the options if he's not. But we obviously, we know Pickford is going to start. So, yeah, go on.
I'll go Pickford in goal, Godfrey right back, Branthwaite, Tarkowski, Mikalenko. Then midfield three of Onana, Guy, Decore playing in front of them, McNeil on one wing, Jack Harrison on the other, Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front.
Okay, I don't disagree with it at all, and I think you're probably right about Gomez. I think he's our most technically gifted player, fantastic on the ball, but he has been throughout his Everton career inconsistent. Although he has been fantastic in
I think
part.
as mad as it sounds, you take Gomez out tonight because he probably hasn't got the legs to be able to compete with Liverpool's midfield three. But you're probably putting Harrison back in. Well, I'm putting Harrison back in because he's got the legs to compete and put a shift in. Probably lacking the quality that maybe someone like Danjuma could offer. But because of his energy and his ability to get up and down the pitch and put a real shift in, you probably give him the nod just to that little bit extra security going down either flank.
No, yeah, absolutely. And if he is fit, Gomez, there's no doubt that he could be a bit of a secret weapon coming off the bench. Look at the impact that he had against Newcastle. Effectively, that performance in the last 15-20 minutes when he come on against Newcastle that enabled us to win a penalty. But he's been in the team pretty much since then. So it's obviously just going to be a massive game in the midfield. We know what Liverpool are like. And Nana probably does come in for me. And then, we see where we go from there with the substitutions. If it's still 0-0 at a, certain points in the second half, or whether the game's in the balance in some scenario, at least then we'll have options to bring off on the bench. So it's going to be an interesting one, Connor. But we'll finish off soon. Finish off in the next 5 minutes. But before we do, just how do we approach this game from a tactical and a defensive attacking point of view? And the reason I asked this because the Burnley game, again, I missed it, but I have caught up on everything since. It was a dire game, very poor. Probably lucky in the end to win it because of the way the goal went in. But we were so defensively, or that's what it looked like from me after watched it post match. But then we won't play Chelsea, a week or so later, and we seem to be playing with a high line. We obviously didn't go out all attacking or gung-ho, but we just seem to be so open. Whereas Forest, we seem to find the right balance against the team who we clearly are better than. So it's going to be difficult now. Liverpool are obviously quality-wise, player for player, going to be better than us. So what do we do? Do we just sit in defensively? Do we take it to them? The atmosphere is obviously going to be fantastic because it's going to be under the lights. How does Dyche, go at this game?
Well, I think first and foremost, the biggest thing is Everton don't do nothing stupid. Because unfortunately we've seen since the turn of the year that they've had an incredible ability to just kick themselves in the foot whenever they get the chance to. You think of the United game, Chelsea, so many efforts as they would just be so stupid. So you would like to think, don't do nothing stupid. I think the biggest thing Everton have got to stay in the game for as long as they can. I kind of get the whole, just go gung-ho and take it to them. That'd be nice, but I think you've got to, be realistic and accept that you've got to stay in the game for as long as you can. Maybe try and hit them on a counter-attack or a set piece. But yeah, I just don't do anything stupid that will give Liverpool a leg up. Whether that be go down to 10 men or give a stupid goal away. Stay in the game for as long as you can. Do the basics right, and who knows what happens. You would like to think, wouldn't you, if it's 0-0, get to an hour. The pressure will start to ramp on them. They'll really start to, you'd imagine, start to feel it. Perhaps from a little bit panicked because start maybe picking them off. So yeah, I think just you got to stay in the game as long as you can. Do the basics well, and like I say, just don't do nothing stupid. Like just just keep your heads. You know what I mean? And just do what's required of you. So yeah, that's what I'd like to say. Just stay in the game as long as we can and don't do anything stupid. Which that sounds really like basic. But I just think we've seen Everton, certainly since the turn of this calendar year, just the inability to find new ways to shoot themselves in the foot's been off the scale. So hopefully it's not a continuation of that trend.
Okay, well, we'll do predictions, but before we do, let me just go through a couple of the comments because we've had people watching who submitted, so thank you for that. Again, that is one way of showing your support, and it is much appreciated. So I'll run through them, Connor. I think we touched upon a couple here, but we've got Eugene McGeever. Thoughts on Nottingham Forest calling VAR a Luton fan? Obviously, he did touch on that, but pretty much embarrassing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, wild. Absolutely wild. I mean, yeah, I was, like I said earlier, I was genuinely stunned when I discovered that account. Obviously, Nuno come out afterwards, didn't he, and defended what the club had said and stuck by what the club had said. But obviously, naturally, he's going to do that, isn't he? Because if we're being, brutally honest, he's not going to go against the man who pays him his wages. He's not going to, go out and publicly disagree with what he said. So yeah, I just thought it was absolutely wild, a mad take, and one that I suspect Forest will see serious ramifications for.
Okay, Andy K says, if Palace can beat Liverpool, why can't we? Fed up of our inferiority complex with them. Our derby record is appalling since Joe Royle was manager. Just win for once. I mean, would you take a point right now, Connor, or is it, a win?
You'd take a point right now, wouldn't you? I mean, Everton got to Saturday evening, 7 o'clock when the full time was against Brentford goes, and they've got 7 points this week. An almighty achievement, wouldn't it? So yeah, I'd take a point. But it's true, isn't it? Liverpool are beatable. They're not. They're not unbeatable. They are beatable, and Atalanta have shown that they're beatable. Crystal Palace have shown that they're beatable. So yeah, Everton, no reason why they can't go out there and get 3 points. But a draw would be a good result for Everton. And yeah, I think, like I said, like I said at the start, so there's been times, hasn't there, where better Everton teams have been, swept aside in a ruthless way by Liverpool than this Everton side. So tonight will be interesting in that aspect. But yeah, there's no reason why Everton can't win. But yeah, you'd be mad not to take a draw, wouldn't you, as we sit here now?
Yeah, Trevor Longmore says, we can win tonight. Let's kick them off the park, Blues. Tazul Islam says, hello, guys. Hoping Dyche doesn't start with Ashley Young. He's a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, we've had a very in-depth conversation on Ashley Young, Connor, and, he was very much a focal point of Sunday's game. He's always going to divide opinion, I suppose, Ashley Young. Maybe.
Yeah, disaster waiting to happen, probably a little bit too strong. A little bit hard. But yeah, there'd be a few nervous faces, a few nervous people, I think, in the crowd won't be if Ashley Young was named in the starting 11 tonight after the weekend. And obviously, like I say, after how we saw he struggled against Diaz in particular back in Anfield in October.
As Eugene McGeever has pointed out, the best thing that Ashley Young probably did over the weekend was post to Twitter the picture of Crimea River by Justin Timberlake. Interesting one here, Connor. I don't know whether we're going to be able to answer this fully, but the Simple Musician says, and this is an actual point, this, because all I'm taught, I'm very happy about the way the table looks at the minute, 5 points clear. But I'll read the question out anyway. Simple Musician, do we have to worry at all about further points deductions this season? Talks over stadium interest still to be had. Makes knowing what we need from each game difficult if we're going to be deducted further points. I don't think we're expecting any more point deductions this season. I think it's next season if it's going to happen. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, that is what I certainly understand it to be. It'll be next season. We don't know because the big answer, obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of things still to be ironed out. But yeah, I don't think that my understanding is that there won't be any more point deductions this season. It'll be next season if there are any to come.
Okay, well, thanks for your questions, guys. Much appreciated. Remember to give us a like as well and a subscribe if you haven't already done so. Okay, Connor, I was aiming for 40 minutes. We are 43, but we have got a little bit more time for predictions. Are we going positive? Are we going negative? Are we going with a bit of a balanced view?
I'm going to go sit firmly on the fence and go 1-1.
I'm laughing because I was literally going to say the same. I just can't see if it's going to be like a high scoring game, as in I just can't see us winning it. If Liverpool score 1 or 2, I just think we'll fold. So we obviously do need to keep it tight. Assert pressure obviously when we can, because at the end of the day you're not going to score goals unless you attack. So I think it's been too agreeable, I think, this podcast, but it is what it is. So I think 1-1. I'm more than happy to agree with you, and I'll be more than happy to take that come 10:30, 10:15, whatever the final whistle time is going to be. But it is going to be interesting, Connor. What are the rest of your plans for the day? You are off, so I appreciate you jumping on the podcast with us.
No major plans. Just take it easy, I think, and then head down to Goodison Park tonight for the big game.
Are you working media? Are you in the media part today?
No, I'm actually in the Goodison Park crowd tonight in the stands as a supporter.
Okay, well, I might see you there.
Yeah, well, hopefully we see each other afterwards and we're smiling.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we'll finish there. Remember to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and follow us on Facebook, which is Everton FC, Liverpool Echo, Royal Blue YouTube channel as well. Most of our live content is on YouTube now, and we've also got, obviously, podcasts on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and Spotify. So yeah, looking forward to the game tonight, fingers crossed. I have made the decision. I am going, Connor, so you can't stop me, and no one else can stop me. I have got my ticket, and I will be at Goodison Park.
The only thing I would say is just as a little, not superstition, but maybe an omen. The last time we've done a match day preview pod for a midweek game, the Blues comfortably swept aside Newcastle United 3-0. So,
well, there you go.
They won last time out, so they're going to do it again tonight.
Fingers crossed. Okay, well, I've been your host, Ian Croll, joined by Conor O'Neill, and this has been the Royal Blue Podcast.